Sha la 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 la. Keep me in your heart for a while. Sometimes when you.
Hi, I'm Reverend David Lima, and I'm here with members of the Opioid Task Force from New Bedford. And Connie Rocha Mimosa from Seven Hills, Carl Alves from PACA. I'm from the Interchurch Council. But we're all here tonight because of International Overdose Awareness Night. We're here to support families who have lost someone to overdose. We're here to raise awareness and to give resources to people who have need. We're here to support the community because this is our community, and everyone in it is worthy and necessary for us to support. So we are grateful that you're here watching this. Learn about what resources are out there and get involved.
We ask you that you have compassion to eliminate stigma among those who are suffering from substance use. And this is what we're here for today, is really honoring those who lost their lives to an overdose, but also give strength to their families, also give an opportunity to those who continue to struggle with addiction, that there's a lot of hope in our city. We are a city of one that come together to help individuals that continue to struggle. So as you listen to this, if you're struggling with any issues, come and see one of these agencies, get the resources. We're all here to help you.
International Overdose Awareness Day is celebrated internationally, from Australia, where it was founded, all across the globe. It's about reminding people that you're not alone, whether you're a family struggling with somebody in your family with addiction, or if you're a person suffering yourself. Ask for help. Don't be afraid. There is a lot of hope. Today's a day of remembrance for those who have passed, but it's also a day of hope. And we've got new programs that are going to be starting very soon. So the future is bright. Help join us.
When the winter comes, keep the fires lit. I'll be right next to you.
Hello, my name is Peter Legassi. I work for Seven Hills Behavioral Health. I am the assistant manager of the post-overdose outreach and follow-up program in New Bedford, Fall River. We also have outreaches effective in Fairhaven, Swansea, and Dartmouth. And what we do is we do cold calls on people, visit their residences or the residences where they might have overdosed and or locations where they might have overdosed. And we offer support and services to the person who had just suffered the overdose and or their support network. We do it from a harm reduction standpoint using stage of change and motivational interviewing, which basically means that we just meet the person where they're at and offer whatever they're willing to take from us. Everything from Narcan, free education information on the spot, all the way up through into advanced clinical care, referrals to treatment, detoxification, outpatient services, medication-assisted treatment, and things like that. We also do a lot of family coaching, individual coaching for recovery. We also work with people who are not quite really ready to make that change and are still struggling with substance use. We don't leave anybody behind. So we're happy to be here today and attend this event. It's very meaningful to us because we've watched a lot of people die from this disease, and we still continue to watch a lot of people suffer every day. And we just want to let people know that we're here, we're available, and nobody needs suffer or die from this disease. No family need suffer or sicken themselves from this disease either. So.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, and I am Deb Kelsey, and I'm a recovery coach for the Fishing Partnership. Both Peter and I are members of the New Bedford and the Fairhaven Opioid Task Force. As Peter said, we are here today in New Bedford commemorating International Opioid Awareness Day. Today is a day to bring awareness to this opioid epidemic. It's also a day to offer resources, and it's a day to remember those that we've lost. No one has to die. There are many resources available, and that's here what we're hoping to do. Offer hope and offer resources. Thank you.
on like in the forest. Yeah, I don't think they have. What I last heard, those repairs are being made here. No, we know.
Thank you all for being here on this special day, Opioid Overdose Awareness Day. Today we remember those who have lost their lives to an overdose. We're very, very lucky that we're able to be here today, that we couldn't be here last year to honor those who have lost their lives previously and the lives that we have lost in the last year during the COVID pandemic. First, I would like to recognize the individuals who have worked really hard to put this together, from agencies to city officials that met and individuals who met on a weekly basis to make sure that this day would not go by again another year without being able to provide support. To the families that have lost a loved one that continue to struggle with grief, and to those who continue to struggle with addiction behind doors. We want to thank everybody who came weekly and their support, their resources put this together. The New Bedford Health Department, Bristol County District Attorney, Interchurch Counseling, Positive Action Against Chemical Addiction, There Is a Solution, High Point Treatment Center, Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, EdCare, Clean Slate, Arcadia Gifford Street Wellness, Fishing Partnership, Seven Hills Behavioral Health, and one individual, Tuesday DeRochas and her family. These are the people that we need to give an applause because they really put this together, this wonderful event on a weekly basis meeting. So without any further, because we really want you to be able to enjoy what we have planned for you today, which is a lot of resources and a lot of support that you can take back to home, but also help other individuals and hear people's stories. I introduce you Reverend David Lima.
Good evening, and thank you for all for coming out. This is very important, and we can't minimize just how important it is to celebrate, and I do say the word celebrate, a community that cares and one that comes together. One person you forgot to thank, Connie, only because he's standing behind us, is the mayor and his office and the help they give us, but also the Greater New Bedford Opioid Task Force. The thing is this city takes it serious, the people that have and continue to fight substance abuse, opioid addiction. And the other thing that we're trying to do is raise not only the awareness, but help battle the shame and the stigma that prevents so many from getting the help they need. It's not about those people. It's about our sons and daughters. It's about our fathers and mothers. It's about our brothers and sisters. It's about our co-workers. People every day are battling this. Some we know, some we don't. I'm going to ask a quick question. How many know somebody who battles an addiction, either today or the past? 2/3 of this crowd at least has their hands up. How many people have had a loss of someone they loved? Again, this is the battle we continue to wage every day. It's not about them, it's about us. Let's bow our heads in prayer for a second. Lord, as we gather here tonight, we ask for your mercy and grace to be upon these people as we lift up our loved ones who have gone on before us, battling a disease that sometimes people just accuse them of being in the wrong place, the wrong time, doing things that they could stop. But we understand it as a disease. We've come to know that there's more to it than just giving it up. We're here to help support those people. We're asking your help to do that. And we're asking, Father God, that you would comfort those who have lost someone and give us the wisdom, the strength, and the fortitude to move forward, to continue to save all that we can save and prevent any more loss. That's our prayer tonight, in Jesus' name. Amen. I do ask right now that you would welcome our mayor, Jonathan Mitchell, to the podium.
Thank you, everyone. So, my immediate reaction in walking out here tonight is I'm just so gratified and thrilled to see such a large crowd. I think there's got to be, geez, I don't know, like 200 of us out tonight. So give yourselves a round of applause for being out here. You know, this is an event that we've done for many years now for reasons that are, I suspect, are familiar to each one of us here. The problem of opioids has been around for a while, and it has been especially intense over the last 10 years, again, for many reasons. And, you know, we in New Bedford, as Reverend Lima noted, have worked really closely together, as we must, to educate, to prevent, to help, to get folks back on track, but above all, to save lives. And you know, through the work, when we established the Greater New Bedford Opioid Task Force a few years ago, I think that was a big first step forward. But you know, I'm here tonight looking around, and the thing that strikes me the most is, you know, here we are, still in the pandemic, guys. I mean, it's not over, and it would be just so easy to forget is how much work has been done on substance abuse and how much more work there still is. And so it's for that reason that this annual event this year is more important than ever. We do this to remind and sensitize and get people reoriented to the task at hand. But this year, we need it more than ever because our attention has been consumed with other things, another threat to public health. So it's so encouraging, it should be encouraging for every one of us that's been involved in this effort. As I look around, I see so many of you who've done so much over the years. The Interchurch Council, of course, in Seven Hills, PACA, Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, way too many, and all the public officials that you see up here today as well, whom you'll hear from. Our state reps, Tony Cabral and Chris Hendricks, our health director, Damone Chaplin, everyone, and so many of you together. We've accomplished a lot, but there's just so much more left to do to make sure that we are doing everything we can to remove the scourge, but also to take care of those who are dealing with it. Because as Reverend Lima noted, and as you'll hear time and time again, it is a disease. It is something that for which we have to continue to strive to remove the stigma. These are real people we're talking about. I suspect, and as the show of hands noted, we all have known somebody, family members, friends, folks who had their lives to live, their futures ahead of them, and wanted and had their aspirations just as we all do, but they've been cut short. Let's continue to dedicate ourselves to the idea that we can eradicate opioids and substance abuse more generally, so that we can unlock the potential of the kids to come and of those who are still dealing with it. So I thank you for the work, and we look forward to the work you've done, and we look forward to the work ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do want to thank all those that have come to be with us tonight. Representative Tony Cabral is here, and I know that he has somewhere he has to go, and he told me, you don't have to bring me up, but we do have to bring him up because he's one of our biggest advocates in Boston, and we need to recognize people for the work they do. So I'll give you 30 seconds. How's that? When does that ever happen?
Well, it's counting already. Well, good afternoon.
15
Good
seconds.
afternoon. It's wonderful to see so many of you here, as the mayor mentioned. We can't count, but I would say it's pretty close to 200 or more. This has been last year we were not able to do this, as you know, but this is important for us to come together and really focus on this issue. It's not going to, because of the pandemic, it's not going away. But the rewarding for me is seeing so many of you here that care and that we know we have to work together in order to keep fighting this issue. The state has committed itself. We have put additional dollars to fight the opioid crisis here in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, the numbers have increased. It's not going away. Actually, have increased because of the pandemic probably as well, contributed to that. And it's also wonderful, and we'll say a few words after, it's nice to have somebody else, at least on the House delegation from the city of New Bedford, that really works together with me on these issues and cares deeply about these issues as well. So I don't feel lonely this way up in Boston, and that's Chris Hendricks. He's been wonderful on this issue as well, and we've worked together to make sure we increase the funding for the programs that are so much needed. Keep up the good work. Unfortunately, I do have another commitment that I have to leave, so I can't meet you down there when we go into March. I will try to march a little bit with you, and then I have to move on. But thank you for all your work. Thank you for your dedication. And yes, this is about us, as the Reverend Lima said. It's not about those people. It's about us, our family members, our friends, and our neighbors, and so forth. So thank you. Keep up the good work.
I got to work on getting a mic that, just slides down when I come to speak after these tall people. Either that, and we only have short people come up and speak when I'm emceeing, okay? There you go. We do want to thank Representative Hendricks for being here, and he will be speaking to us down at Custom House Square, which we hope you all join us as we process from here down to there. But next on our agenda right now, we got City Councilor Scott Lima.
Good afternoon. This is a big crowd, and I thank you all for being here. I'm always a person, I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm not an expert on addiction. I'm not an expert on treatment. I'm a member of the City Council here representing City Council President Joe Lopes and the entire City Council. And on behalf of President Lopes and the entire City Council, I want to thank you all for being here. We're aware of the problem in the city and the suffering that a lot of people have gone through, but I'm here to really thank all of the people, Mr. Alves, Reverend Lima, everyone here that helps fight addiction and substance abuse, and all the work that you do. So there are a lot of great people here, and thank you for coming, and we're definitely with you. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Next person I'm going to bring up is Damone Chaplin. Damone Chaplin is the health director for the city of New Bedford. He's also a man who's passionate about trying to help us all stay safe. And he jumped in with both feet in the beginning when we started the opioid task force. He became one of the co-chairs, and he has been a strong advocate for getting things done and continuing to raise that awareness. Damone?
Thank you, Reverend Lima, Mayor, City Councilor, State Representatives. Thank you all for being here and joining us. At the Health Department, we have a myriad of things that we have to contend with. Opioids is one of them, among them, and COVID. And within the task force, we have begun to develop systems and put programs in place to support the community. But to be honest with you, the real system that's going to work for us long term and help us get through all of these things is family and communities. And it's really about how we come together as a community. This is a testament to the work that we've been doing, and Reverend Lima and Connie's been doing over years and years and years to build support for substance abuse and opioid addiction in New Bedford. And it's really, it's inspiring to see this number of people to come out year after year after year to support the community. And so of all the things that we do and all the systems that we put in place, the biggest and best system that we can continue to support our individuals, families, and communities. And so with that, I just want to say thank you all for coming out and supporting us, and continue to support the city, the health department, and all the efforts of the task force. And we look forward to seeing you guys down at Custom House Square.
one other person I do want to recognize, and he'll be speaking down at Custom House Square also, is Mike Jackman, aide to Congressman Keating, which, as long as I've known the congressman, this has been a major part of what he works for in Washington to be able to get us the assistance we need. Our last speaker here is going to be the new Chief of Police, Paul Oliveira, who has just recently become the co-chair of the Greater New Bedford Opioid Task Force, and again is putting all his efforts behind this. Chief.
Thank you, Reverend. Traditionally, those of us in the police profession often speak of the fight against the drug epidemic by talking about sizable narcotic seizures and those arrested. Occasionally, we speak of overdoses. Rarely do we speak about the emotional toll that the opioid epidemic has taken on the first responders who are on the front line. Although we often report the number of people who have died as a result of an overdose, and there are always far too many, I never make the mistake of seeing them as only that, simply a number. I hold closely to the fact that representing each of those numbers is a human being who was a family member, a friend, a co-worker, or someone who mattered a great deal to someone else. That number represents an individual who struggled with addiction. It represents a family of people who shared in that struggle and all of the suffering that came along with it. And for each of those overdose deaths, there was a group of police officers who responded to a home and did their best to guide a family during its darkest time. Police officers shared in the grief, internalized the trauma, and pulled themselves together to be strong enough for the next call. That is what International Overdose Awareness Day represents. This is a day to step back and reflect. This is a time to process the immense sense of loss that we feel as we respond to yet another call involving a life taken too soon and too needlessly. This is a time to offer our thoughts and comfort to the family members who are left behind. This is a time to acknowledge that the first responders who have been in this fight from day one are not simply okay. Finally, this is an opportunity to affirm our deep commitment once again to creating a better tomorrow. We do this with respect to and in the name of those individuals we've tragically lost. In the past, police departments acted alone in their campaign to stem the flow of narcotics into our community. Today, we have come to realize the critical importance of belonging to a team. Here in New Bedford, we are truly blessed to have an outstanding group of drug counselors, addiction coaches, clergy, outreach workers, and social service providers. They are all important allies as we move into the new era of drug addiction, one which places a greater emphasis on treatment, education, and prevention. Overcoming this crisis will take the efforts of many and the support of an entire community. I am grateful to have and be part of that support system here in New Bedford. Thank you.
We thank you, Chief. Now, we are going to have Autumn come up to share a song with us before we walk. But this is the reason we're here. These families, these that have gone on, that were loved ones, that were here as a vital part of their families, and now there's loss. We need to be here to support them and to support each other. We ask that you join us as we process down after this song. There'll be food, there'll be music, but more importantly, there'll be testimony. There will be those that will talk about what they've been through and what they continue to do, because even in the midst of loss, there's hope. How many people understand that? You're not alone. There is help. Help through your grief, help through your addictions. There is help. And so we ask you to join us. I'm going to bring Autumn up.
Hello. This is Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins. as you feel. Believe in me. Believe that life could change, that you're not stuck in vain. We're not the same, we're different tonight. Tonight, 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 so bright. Tonight, tonight. And you know you're never sure, but you're sure you could be right if you held yourself up to the light. And the embers never fade in your city by the lake, the place where you were born. Believe, believe in me. In the resolute urgency of night. And if you believe there's not a chance tonight, 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 so bright, tonight, tonight.
And I'm so happy to see everybody here coming together. You know, it shows that we have not forgotten those who we lost. Overdose continues to occur in our communities, and we continue to, you know, face struggles, but we need to continue to talk about it. The only way we can begin to be more ease with the overdose is removing some of the stigma that continues to happen in our community. So I challenge all of you to really, really begin to talk to your friends, your neighbors about overdose, about substance use, mental health. That's where we want. We want people to have access to treatment. We have a lot of resources, as you can see here. We have a lot of resources for people, but a lot of individuals continue to be afraid to seek help. You know, we're here. We've been here 365 days a year, even during the pandemic. We're here to support you. Let's begin to reach out to people, reach out to your neighbor, reach out to your grocery store person, reach out to somebody in the bodega that you know. You know, people are struggling. You might be that person that gives them hope. You might be that individual that looks at them, smile, and they say, I can do this. So thank you all for being here, and I'll turn it over to my partner in crime, Reverend David Lima.
Again, this is all about trying to help support those that are struggling and help those that are grieving. I encourage you during the night to just take a look at these wonderful pictures, bright and alive pictures, pictures of hope, pictures of a future, pictures of those that we've lost. And that's a major loss to the community, not just to the families, but we're here to support the families also, and we'll be hearing from them. Right now, I'd like to introduce Mike Jackman. Mike Jackman is an assistant to Congressman Bill Keating. Mike is not just someone who's an assistant. He has been part of an everyday call in this community since last March during the pandemic. And he's a major asset to us, connecting us with services with the congressman and with Washington, but the congressman himself has been a great champion.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here today on behalf of the congressman, not only because this is a problem here in our community, but this is a national problem. It's happening all over our country, unfortunately. Sometimes when you look at the numbers, and unfortunately during the COVID pandemic, the overdose numbers have gone up nationally. You look at the numbers, you think of it as a huge national problem, it can be overwhelming. But when you're the individual struggling with addiction, struggling with substance misuse, or a loved one, a parent, a spouse, a partner, a child of that person who's struggling, that problem can feel overwhelming too. And I think tonight, the message is you're not alone. Like Connie was saying, there are people to talk to about this issue. There are people to talk about the struggles that you're feeling every day. All these resource tables represent a great opportunity to keep that conversation going. We're here about awareness. We're here to make sure that we're talking to people in the community about what's available, the help that's available, resources that are available. But we're also here to remember, and it is so important to remember the struggles that these wonderful, beautiful young people went through with addiction and with substance misuse. Because tonight we remember, and tomorrow we come together and we act. And we keep the work going. The work here in New Bedford has been incredible. There's so much to do. There's so much that's being done. So let's keep the conversation going and strive towards that vision of a substance-free community. So thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you, Mike. Another great advocate for us is Representative Tony Cabral, mentioned up at City Hall, is Representative Chris Hendricks, who, when he started, got involved right away with the opioid task forces and been part of one of the committees. And he's not just there for show, he actually works hard at this. So let's welcome Chris Hendricks.
Thank you, Reverend. And thank you, everyone, who came out today. This is seriously an amazing event. And thank you to New Bedford Police, New Bedford Opioid Task Force for putting this on. As we all know, there's no magic drug, there's no magic medical treatment that can cure addiction. So it's things like this. It's community building, it's awareness, it's education. That's going to allow us as a community to mitigate the scourge of addiction in our community. We heard Mr. Jackman speak from Congressman Keating's office. And several years ago, I think when you got, about $1.8 million for New Bedford. The reason why it was easy for the congressman to get that money is because the infrastructure we have here in place with the Greater New Bedford Opioid Task Force, which is led by Carl Alves and others. So we need to keep the progress going. We're getting a lot of work done here in the city. And I just want to thank you. And to those who brought pictures of your loved ones, I know that's not an easy thing. And thank you for doing that. It's much appreciated. And by seeing these faces, this is who we do it for. We want to end this. So we don't want any more overdoses in the city, quite frankly. So thank you for coming out and have fun and bless.
Thank you all so much. My name is Tuesday, and I'm the mother of a child lost to an overdose. My son Caleb died March 5th of 2017. He was just 24 years old, and he had so much more left to do, so many adventures yet to have. Sometimes I feel like his death happened just yesterday, and other days it feels like forever, since I've seen his smile, felt his hug, or heard his goofy laugh. A mother never gets over the death of her child. As a mom, it's our job to make sure our children are safe and taken care of. To know that I could not help my boy has left such a deep hole in my heart that I don't know that it will ever heal. The loss of Caleb feels like someone took the book of my life and ripped out entire chapters. From the baby boy I brought home, to the toddler who could hardly walk because of his chubby tree trunk legs, to the grade school boy who wrote his letters so small I needed a magnifying glass just to check his homework, to the teenager who drove me absolutely crazy. I will never get to see my son get married, raise a family, buy his first home, or any of the other milestones I see his friends now celebrating. My dreams for Caleb died along with him, and that is so heartbreaking. Caleb was the funniest. He was such an extrovert, and he made friends in any and all circles. If he was in a room, it was like a light had been turned on and everyone wanted to be near it. He would draw you into these crazy conversations that you could only have with him. He was big on conspiracy theories, and he loved to talk about them. No matter where we went, someone would inevitably recognize him and say, "Hey, Caleb, remember when?" And they'd go on this have this big conversation. He was always helping his friends in any way that he could. So many people would say to me after his death that Caleb was their best friend. It's been pretty amazing to hear some of the stories they've told me about him. And in all honesty, it feels like he's alive somehow through these stories. I think talking about our loved ones who have died is so important because it's somehow healing to remember them together. As social as Caleb was, there was a definite shift in him when the drug use began to take hold. He started to spend so much time alone. He began self-isolating, pulling back not only from his friends, but also from his family. We're a family who loves food, and I love to cook for him and his brother and sisters. He would always come upstairs and say, "Ooh, Mama, what's cooking?" And he'd raise his eyebrows and make a goofy face. I miss that so much. I even miss yelling at him as he double-dipped into whatever was on the stove. After a while, he stopped even coming up for dinner. He would spend all day in his room and only come up when my husband and I were at work. We had so many arguments over so many stupid things. There came a time when we couldn't be in the same room together without arguing. I was so angry at him for the way he was changing right before my eyes, and I wanted so badly to get through to him. Looking back now, I see I was just pushing him further away, further into seclusion, and I'd do anything to have a do-over. In February of 2017, he came upstairs in the late morning and we started talking. Well, I started lecturing. I can still see the tears in his eyes as he admitted he needed help again. And so began our final journey into the world of detox, rehab, and sober homes. Each step into this world, if you don't already know, is blocked with red tape and roadblocks that can prevent the person seeking help from receiving the said help. There are so many gaps in the system, for sure, but there are also so many compassionate people there to help guide the way. I'm a woman of faith, and I believe that God would indeed save my son. I believed my prayers would surely be answered because anything else was just unimaginable. I knew it was a long road, but we had walked it together as a family for years, and we were up for the fight. He entered detox in the beginning of February, stepped down to rehab just 5 days later. A drug habit that had taken years to destroy my son slowly could somehow be fixed in just a matter of days. 2 weeks after that, I was called into a family meeting and told that our insurance had maxed out. The next step, they told us, was a sober home. His counselor had a list of them for us, and Caleb chose one in Falmouth because his friend from high school, Cam, was a teacher there, and he wanted to be close to him. He was excited to go. I was nervous. The house he moved into was not at all what we had been told. The house manager told me there would be meetings every day and drug tests. Caleb's journals tell of rampant drug use, overdoses, and chaos. Within just 2 weeks, we got the life-changing call at 6:30 a.m., and our lives would never be the same. As my husband was on the phone, a New Bedford police officer knocked on our door. There is now a before and an after, and I live between these two worlds. I live in the world where my son is alive and thriving. My mind plays cruel tricks on me, and I imagine him just a phone call away. I hear or see something he would laugh at, and in an instant I think, I gotta tell Caleb. But then I remember I live in the after, and my stomach feels like someone has sucker punched me as the reality sets in. The world drops out from under me at the most random times. In the cereal aisle, when I see brothers and sisters together, when I see a stack of pancakes, because that boy loved pancakes. Losing Caleb has created in me my own type of isolation. At first, people were there to call and comfort and console. After a few weeks, the phone calls stopped coming. Except for a couple of friends and my husband and children, I felt like I was walking this dark road alone. I get it. Grief is uncomfortable. It's messy. Seeing someone in pain is hard. Trust me, grieving is harder. I started noticing people would walk the other way, and I felt like screaming, "It's not contagious. You're not going to lose your child by associating with me." One thing I have learned is that I am now fearless. I'm not afraid to live, and I'm most certainly not afraid to die. The worst possible thing has happened to me, and if I have survived that, I can get through anything. My faith in God has sustained me. I know I would not have survived without it. I don't know why my prayers were not answered, but I do know there's a purpose in my pain now. The things we go through are to help others, and that's why I speak. That's why my friend Pam and I started our grief group, Warrior Moms, to comfort others as we have been comforted. I will always be Caleb's mama, even though I won't see him again for a very long time. Until then, I will tell his story, and I will hope that by doing so, he will continue helping others the way he did when he lived here in this world. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pam Clarkson. I'd like to speak to you tonight in honor of my beloved son, Randy, who passed away on May 20th, 2019, of an accidental overdose. Randy was the sweetest boy. He was really shy and sensitive, but he was always smiling, and he was very easygoing. He was a gentle soul, full of compassion and concern for others, and especially for his family. He was protective, polite, and very respectful to everyone he met, and I was always proud of that. When he was 5 years old, we moved to a house in Westport with lots of land. It was a great place to raise our boys. They really got to enjoy the outdoors, riding their bikes through the paths in the woods and catching frogs and turtles at the pond and chasing fireflies in the fields at night. Randy also loved the water and became captain of our boat at a young age of 10. He was a natural, and I always felt safe when he was at the helm. He was a great fisherman, so patient, and always managed to catch the biggest fish. It sure was a happy time, a simple time, and pretty much stress-free. As Randy got older, he spent a lot of time riding dirt bikes and flying his remote control airplane. And then there was the paintball tournaments in the woods with about a dozen teenage boys, and that's when I began to pray a lot. Thankfully, no one ever got hurt, and somehow we survived those teenage years with not one trip to the emergency room. Life was good, and life was easy. Randy's dream was to join the Air Force and become a fighter pilot. Unfortunately, that dream was shattered when he tore his ACL in high school, which led to several difficult and painful surgeries, and that's when it all began. Randy was never the same after that. He started spending a lot of time alone in his room and seemed to be always angry and irritated. He had really shut down. Little did we know he had become addicted to the painkillers. The more he isolated, the harder it was for him to socialize again. It was a long, slow downward spiral from there. The anxiety and depression progressed, and he was self-medicating along with the help of his primary doctor, who continued to prescribe large amounts of Xanax, even after I explained to him in an email that Randy was suffering from addiction. He was abusing the medication and mixing it with other drugs. I was furious, but my hands were tied. Randy was an adult now and I did not have permission to talk to his doctors. And now I was struggling with anxiety and depression and living with constant paralyzing fear. There were many, many sleepless nights, and finally, out of complete desperation, I made the difficult decision to section my son. He had been suffering for nearly 10 years and refusing treatment. Things were getting worse, and I knew he would not go voluntarily. I really felt I had no choice. I had hope and faith that this would be the first step to his recovery, and if he was forced to detox, he would somehow be able to think more clearly and make better choices and beat this horrible disease. But to my despair, about 2 months after being released from the program, my heart was completely broken. My hopes and dreams for my beautiful son were shattered. My prayers were unanswered. And my life was changed forever. And the saddest thing is I know in my heart because of the way Randy was. It was the stigmatism of the addiction that prevented him from getting help. And this must change. We need to change that. It's been 2 years now. Not a day goes by that I don't think of him. It's a constant struggle. And as a mom, the tendency is to blame myself. There must be something I could have done differently. I should have been able to save my son. But the truth is, I loved him the only way I knew how, unconditionally, and for that, I have no regrets. I kept the faith. I never gave up hope, and that's what kept me going. Now when my mind says, what if, I have to remind myself that even if. And when my heart really aches because my son is no longer here, I remind myself of all the parents who have lost young babies, and I'm grateful for the 31 years I had with my son. I'm also grateful to have started a support group with Tuesday for grieving moms. It's been extremely helpful, and I don't know where I'd be without them. We are the warrior moms, and we believe that as long as we grieve together, we will heal together. I strongly suggest if anyone else out there is struggling with the loss of a child or a spouse or any loved one, that you find a good support group, and I know you'll be glad you did. Thank you for your time, and God bless.
Thank you very much. How you doing? My name's Nate Costa. I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict, and also the founder of There Is a Solution. First of all, I just want to, can we give another round of applause to these brave women who, just amazing story, amazing testimony. I want to just kind of speak to the fact that, owning, operating sober homes and what we see and how we deal with some of the stuff that we're talking about here tonight. Sober homes are definitely not exclusive to any type of overdose. And one of the things that I could definitely say is that there are resources out there, regardless of anything that anybody has going on, that be a resource, reach out to people, and try to take advantage of some of the stuff that's going on out there right now. Like, for instance, events like this. We deal with overdoses. It's one of the toughest things that we have to do would make that phone call to a parent. And I think that speaking from our side of the table, it's extremely tough to kind of feel like we're isolated as a whole. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody who came out tonight. That we are here. That if you know of anybody battling or struggling, like, now's the time to speak up. Now's the time to say, like, hey, enough's enough. Reach out to some of the resources that are here, and try to put something into action. Thank you very much.
I'd like to commend the mothers that just spoke. As a parent, you worry about your children every day, and these are my biggest fears. And the things, I've dealt with addiction before I can remember with my family, and this means a lot to me, that to see support of the families, of the communities. I'm dealing with it with family members now, and trying to get them help before they're on a picture or they're on a t-shirt or we're going to their wake. I'd like to thank everybody that put this event on. Pay attention to your family. Tell people you love them. Support them no matter what. Never turn your back. We've all been in this position, and we can only get out of it together. Thank you. Have a blessed night. I hope everybody enjoys themselves.